remember the last time we didn't get any Doctor Who content? It was actually in 1989 when they released the movie for the Eighth Doctor, and then after that we were stuck in a sort of limbo. The show wasn't necessarily cancelled, more like they just didn't really want to do anything, or I don't really know how to describe it. It was more likely put on hiatus until we got the Ninth Doctor in the 2000s, and it kind of looks like that might be the case again. At least that was the early verdict of UK industry insiders after the BBC dropped a TARDIS bombshell on Wednesday, when the broadcaster announced a major creative rethink of Doctor Who. Gone is the Christmas special we were supposed to get, which was greenlit only 8 months previously, and perhaps more consequently, we're once again losing Russell T Davies, and we're also losing producer Bad Wolf. Two insiders said it was a mutual parting of the ways after all sides realized that Doctor Who required a level of surgery that could not be masked by the sticking plaster of a festive episode. This creative surgery is expected to take years, potentially keeping the show off the air or off TV until 2028 at the earliest. The outcome was obvious to anyone close to the show. Davis had no script, although there are conflicting accounts about exactly how much he had written, and there was no actor attached to play the Doctor. Wait a minute. No Doctor attached to play a Doctor. Editing Amy, can we get a clip of the 15th Doctor's regeneration, please? Yeah, so either, I don't know what, or they just think I'm dumb. Anyways, there were insurmountable issues with less than 6 months to get the special on screen, even if post-production would have been shortened by the absence of an international partner. Some were surprised that the Christmas episode was even announced by the BBC last October. One person said it was unveiled more in hope than expectation, and was done to calm concerns that Doctor Who was being scrapped after Disney ditched its co-production deal. Davis more or less confirmed this when he posted on Instagram that the special was only cooked that up to guarantee a future when no one knew what would happen. In a statement, the BBC said that the decision to cancel the Christmas episode was not taken lightly, and acknowledged that the news would be disappointing for fans. The broadcaster added that it was now focused on securing the next phase of the show for future generations. They also announced that it will embark on a competitive tender for season 16, which I'm not even going to question how we number the seasons anymore. So let's just keep going, in which producers will pitch in a bake-off style process to generate the sci-fi series. The idea of farming out one of your iconic brands to a third-party producer may seem, anathema to some. That's a word, apparently. But under the terms of BBC's operating agreement, known its Royal Charter, the corporation has a duty to put in-house shows out to the market. The BBC recently completed a tender process for a long-running medical drama, Casualty, which I have heard of Casualty, and I always thought it was a soap opera more than a medical drama, but who am I to judge? But during which BBC Studios retained the contract. Doctor Who is the highest profile series yet to undergo the process, but the prospect is failing to inspire early enthusiasm. Deadline contacted four respected UK drama producers to test their appetite for making Doctor Who, and all had serious reservations about becoming a gun for hire. The producers said they were worried about not owning the rights to a series that would likely become a significant drain on resources and creative energy. They also harbored concerns about funding for Doctor Who after the Disney deal, while some expressed more fundamental fears about whether the Time Lord remains relevant to young audiences. One top producer exclaimed that you would have to be mad to take on the show. It's a bit of a nightmare for any producer in this market with the shadow of the Disney fallout, was the verdict from another highly regarded producer. This person added, it's hard hard to see another major US studio replacing Disney, so the budget would be hard to get above £3 million, which is $4 million to us per episode. With a significant co-pro or insane investment from the distribution arm, BBC Studios, which they will struggle to recoup on sales. There's also a feeling that the sci-fi series has lost its way creatively, with our last Doctor, Nakushi Gatwa, never fully embracing the role, and concerns about Davis using a sledgehammer to tackle issues of diversity and inclusion that have long been a celebrated part of Doctor Who. Ratings have tanked under his watch. It's not necessarily clear, though, if Bad Wolf can be persuaded to bid for Doctor Who, but a source said it was unlikely that the producer parent Sony Pictures Television would sanction the company spending more time on the show that they don't own or have a share of. Bad Wolf's deal in 2021 to make the BBC Studio series was like highly unusual, but it was used as a mechanism to restore Davis as the showrunner after he worked with bosses Jane Trantner and Julie Gardner on the 2005 relaunch with Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor. Bad Wolf has declined to comment beyond a statement posted on Instagram, in which it said it's been an honor to work on Doctor Who. Others are more upbeat. One person said Doctor Who is both an intriguing prospect and a potential resource sink. Doctor Who is a global brand that could burnish the resume of a producer and potentially open other doors. And whatever happens, BBC Studios will remain in the saddle, handling distribution, licensing, consumer products, digital, and immersive experiences. Look, even if there's a frenzy for the contract, Doctor Who is expected to be off the air for years as BBC works out its future. Now, I can understand, the issues that some new fans have with this thing, but you have to remember that we've already experienced this before with the 8th Doctor. I'm telling you guys this because I've seen a lot of people freaking out about Doctor Who being cancelled and never coming back, but technically speaking, Doctor Who was cancelled and did come back in the 2000s. It was canceled in 1989 and then came back in the 2000s with our 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, because the 8th Doctor didn't really do so well with his movie, and that's the only Doctor Who movie we have, by the way, just to clarify. Admittedly, I'm not the hugest Doctor Who nerd, and there's probably a lot of things that I'm saying wrong here, except for the hiatus thing. I'm not wrong about that. I'm not wrong about Doctor Who being on hiatus, because this has happened before, so I'm prepared for Doctor to be on hiatus and let them work it out. And if it does get canceled, then that is sad, but it did run pretty well with a couple of dud Doctors. Like, people didn't like 13, but I loved 13. And people weren't really a fan of the bi-generation from 14 and 15. But sometimes you need to have duds. Like, you need to have duds in a show. The show can't always be perfect. Anyways, I just wanted to, talk about this. When I saw it came out, I saw people freaking out, and I was like, okay, guys. We weren't there in the 80s when this happened before. Late 80s, with 8th Doctor. We'll be fine. I 100% believe we'll be fine. You can say I'm wrong in the comments, but I firmly believe that we're gonna be okay.